welcome to this episode on loneliness. Loneliness is an epidemic, and we feel it whatever our age or season of life, whether you're single or you're married or you're divorced or you're widowed, you're young or you're old. And so today we're going to talk about the facts of loneliness, how devastating it is to us emotionally and physically, and also what can you do about it? How can we make a difference in our own lives and the lives of others by reaching out to them? So today I'm with my friend Hice, who...
And this is Poppy Smith.
Yes, right. And we're going to talk about this whole issue of loneliness and the fact of it and the pain of it and what can you do about it. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Hice, and I have a ministry called Pause, Pray, and Simplicity. You can find me over on my website, YouTube, and social media. And this is actually a subject that I am really passionate about. I have seen over, not only in my life, but in so many people's lives, in my family and my friendships and in the community, and even my churches, of those struggling with loneliness. And so actually, Poppy and I, we were talking about this, and we just felt really called to share some words of encouragement on this subject. Just the epidemic of isolation and loneliness and everything that COVID has brought. And even with having, we think we're connected because we have social media and Facebook and all these things, but it has actually caused the opposite. We have so much connection, but we are so disconnected. And so we wanted to bring you guys just some encouragement. That is definitely a part of my heart. Poppy and I, we definitely are women that want to encourage you guys. If it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and also I focus a little bit more on the financial piece. So yeah, go ahead and get started, Poppy, and share a little bit more.
Okay. I just want to tell you about a study I've been reading from the University of California in Irvine. And research shows that while obesity, listen ladies, for those of us who need to keep exercising, reduces longevity by 20%, drinking by 30%, and smoking by 50%, loneliness reduces it by a whopping 70%. God created us to be with others, and we need it. And yes, we have social media today, but that is not enough. We need somebody close by that we can touch, and that when we're not worried about the pandemic, we can hug and we can do things together. So tell us something, Lisa, about what you do as a single woman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 44 years old and been single, which is definitely a challenge. I mean, there's blessings in it, but there's also some difficult hardships as a single person. And I'm an extrovert, and some people say, oh, you're an extrovert. It's so easy for you to get community or reach out to different new groups. But it's actually sometimes even difficult for us extroverts, just like I assume a lot of introverts. It's really hard for you guys. Over the last several years, I've gone through a couple of transitions, location changes, and even a church change. And so I had to press that into my own fears, be courageous, and get uncomfortable to become comfortable into new spaces and new communities. And what did that look like for me? I had to reach out to different local churches, community groups, reached out to women's pastors when I walked into new churches, and ask, how can I get connected? Is there a Bible study? Is there a hobby group? How can I get connected with other people? About 2 years ago, I joined a singles group, which has been an absolute blessing in my life. It was a little scary being that new person in a new group. I didn't know anybody. I knew a few, one or two people, but and that helped obviously. But it was taking those small steps of joining just one event and then going to the next event and meeting new friends. And now they're my sources of community, and I'm so blessed and so thankful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want to relate to the times of acute loneliness that I've experienced. I used to live in Nairobi. That's where I met my husband, who's an American. And before I met him, I was incredibly lonely. And this report I just quoted talks about how the brain can perceive the pain of loneliness as physical pain. Mm-hmm. And I remember that. just that feeling in your gut of just so lonely and so miserable. And then even after being married, you know, sometimes your husband is very busy and preoccupied, as mine was. Then later on, we moved to America. I knew nobody. I was incredibly lonely and miserable. And then later in our marriage, we moved to Singapore. My husband was working at the university. And again, I knew no one in the whole country. So there are times where life circumstances cause us to be incredibly lonely, but we have to do something about it. And I realize people are not going to come to me and say, oh, who are you? It would be so nice to have you come over or join us or meet me for coffee. Sometimes we have to take it to those other people, as Lisa was saying.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite Bible verses is from Hebrews 13:5, and it says, God will never leave you nor forsake you. In those times where we maybe are feeling alone or feeling isolated, whatever season you are in, but just be reminded, you guys, you're never alone. God is always with you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. One of the other Bible verses, I'm kind of known as an encourager. I used to be a little bit of a rock climber, so I was always trying to encourage people to face their fears. And I think going into new communities, it can be scary. People can be full of anxiety and just intimidated, don't want to. But by reading Joshua 1:9, just plant that in your heart, your mind, your spirit as you go out and be courageous. It says, be strong and very courageous. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So wherever you're going to be stepping into those uncomfortable spaces, new communities, new situations, new people, just know that God is with you. He is going to go with you as you take those steps. Do it afraid. I love Joyce Meyer. She always says, you might be afraid. Do it anyway. Do it afraid and be courageous. Take those moments to breathe before you go into a new sense of community. Just pause and breathe. As my ministry says, pause, pray, and simplicity. Pause and breathe, and you can do it, you guys.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've found is as I've practiced those steps over the years, it gave me a sensitivity to other people who were lonely, particularly at church.
Absolutely.
If I see someone standing by themselves and everybody's milling around and saying hi to their friends, I've got a reputation of being very outgoing, and I'm not. I had to do what Lisa said. I had to get that courage because I know what it's like to be outside of the group and longing to be talked to not just walk out of the church or the lobby and nobody ever even said hello. It's horrible. We need to be welcoming to people. And again, the scripture is full of this. God created us with the need for being together. And we're told to not forsake, not give up, not neglect being together, because that is how we spur one another along and encourage each other. Yeah. But the other thing is that, yes, many of us have not been to church for a long time. This has just swept the world and in America. But now churches are opening up, or you can go, and if you're comfortable, wear a mask. I do. I don't want to pick up anything. But get out there in some way. Go for a stroll with a friend. Contact somebody you know who wouldn't mind you spending time with them. In fact, one time I was alone. My husband was overseas. My kids live in other states. And I thought, I'm all alone. It was Easter. And I thought, who could I spend that day with? And I called a friend. It took courage because we don't know if someone's going to think, oh, I don't really want to spend my time with her. I've got other plans. And this friend told me later, after I spent time with them, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for offering to join us on that special day. I was thrilled. So I was blessed and I was a blessing. And that is what God calls us to be. But it doesn't happen if we sit home full of self-pity and thinking nobody knows I exist, nobody cares. Well, we have to get courage. We have to be courageous, like God said to Joshua, and take that courage and go and join something, or call a church office, find out, or go up to somebody and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'd like, who are you? Or maybe you wouldn't say that, but some tactful way to say, I'd love to know you. What's your name? So we have to take the initiative, and God will bless you and bless that person.
Yeah, I mean, that is so good, Poppy. I mean, just talking about practical steps that we have taken, but we want to encourage you with real, honest ways that you can walk out and into community to, step out of your homes. I know a lot of us, like you were saying, just being isolated. If you feel comfortable, definitely wear your masks. Do what you feel comfortable with. I think that's is one of the keys. I mean, 3 of the practical steps that I know a couple of us has taken, but these are some practical steps that you can take, is think about and identify maybe some groups that you are excited about, that interest you. So maybe a quick question I can ask you is, what is a few of your hobbies? Do you love to run? Do you like to hike? Do you want to join maybe a cooking group, a Bible study, a community group at your local church? There's so many. I mean, crafts, people like to craft. Do you like crafting? Just identify a few of those groups or situations that maybe interest you. You might be asking, well, where do I even find these groups? That's a great question. And a few ways that you can identify some local groups is obviously first through, if you're a part of a church community, reach out to the life group pastor, women's pastors, men's group, men's pastors. If you're a male watching this, or if your husbands are watching this, that's always great. But there's also really wonderful groups through your community centers. Facebook is actually adding a lot of different communities. I have a local hiking group, and I had a new person that joined this week, and she was looking for community. I was so excited about. There's meetup groups. I do encourage you guys as women, obviously, or men, just, be cautious, be careful when you're going into new communities, be aware of your surroundings and all of that. So those are just a couple of ideas for you to get those sources of community. The biggest thing, ask and seek. Ask those people around you, how are you getting community? Ask your families, how are you getting community? Ask the local churches, situations, reach out, be courageous like we talked about. And you can definitely step into those uncomfortable spaces for a very short time, but you will become comfortable as you proceed into those relationships and into that community.
And I would add 2 more things. First of all, yes, we're talking about asking others for information for where you can gather with others. Ask God.
Yeah.
That's where we need to begin. Saying,
Yeah.
God, I'm lonely. Be honest. God, I'm lonely. I really would like some friends or somebody to do things with, to go somewhere with. And ask God, and I know He will answer in some way. He will bring something across your path, and you can think, this is God's answer.
Yeah.
But secondly, think about, how can you serve someone?
Yes.
Where can you volunteer? If you love little children, and the older I am, the more I love the little ones, probably because I don't have to get so exhausted and I can leave them, but they are delightful. Can you help in something just once a month? Can you help in food distribution? I mean, look at what is out there. What tugs your heart? Because God's created you to give and to love and to serve Him and to serve others. Yeah. So I hope this is helpful. Do let us know. It's a joy to talk to you.
Yeah, and one other couple of people that I just have such a heart for is obviously like widows. Widows are very lonely. Widows enjoy a lot of times just time together with somebody. So if you know someone that maybe a loved one or a friend or someone in your church or work or community that recently lost a loved one. I know through the pandemic, a lot of people lost loved ones, and this is the kind of that time after 6 months to a year where all the family and friends have they're not showing up as much as they used to. So maybe if you have a friend or a family member, take them to lunch, take them to dinner, go on a walk. If they feel comfortable, like go to your house, your house, whatever. And then that way, just having that source of kind of helps with that that tug of loneliness that they have. But Poppy, it has been such a great opportunity just to kind of talk with you, and I hope this has been an encouragement for you. But we want to hear from you guys, so definitely put a comment down below. Let us know by email. You can reach us both over at poppysmith.com and also pausepraysimplicity.com. We're on social media, Facebook, and also the YouTube channels and our newsletters. We want to hear from you, and we want to be praying for you. How can we be praying for you maybe during seasons of difficulties, hardships, even seasons of joy? We want to celebrate with you. You know, if you've had something wonderful happen lately, let us know. We love hearing those stories. So anyways, guys, Poppy, did you have anything else?
No, I was just going to say, if there are other topics you'd like us to talk about, to both talk about the difficulty of it, that we're human beings, that we have human needs, that we know that God is there to help us, but we need community, even in this manner through YouTube. But let us know. You can write to me at poppysmith.com or to my website and sign up for my twice monthly newsletter where I do some of this kind of encouragement spiritually, emotionally, and so on. I'd love to be in touch with you. So please do that. And it's been our joy to encourage you today.
Thank you so much for having us, and we will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.